Michael Higgins, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You have a new role, International CEO, Hidden Road.
That's right.
What does it mean to be?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Hidden Road at the start about 6 years ago when the company first set up, and my role there was to look after our distribution business. So I was the global head of business development, which really is the sales, marketing, and distribution of that business. As the firm grew and we grew multiple entities and multiple verticals of business lines, the group CEO thought there was a good opportunity to put me as the international CEO. So I look after a bunch of different businesses, including our digital asset business.
So good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's difficult not to discuss the crypto hype. We're seeing a huge surge in trading, and how does it look from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would echo those sentiments, right? We're certainly seeing new entrants coming into the space. I think you're starting to see more institutional adoption. That requires certain infrastructure in the space to be built out, and so we're at early stages of that. I think the market infrastructure is starting to model a little bit. It's kind of a nice blend between foreign exchange, equities, and even a bit of listed derivatives. And so a lot of these practices and principles from the traditional markets are coming in. And so we're starting to see the large hedge funds. It's still early days for some of the banks. They have a number of different constraints like RWA under Basel III. But nonetheless, I do see the banks coming in and a really great place for the industry to hold assets on pledge like we see the banks doing in other asset classes.
So how is the institutional reception of this?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's been an appetite, and there was just sitting on the sideline looking for clarity on regulation and, again, that infrastructure. And so we've seen a handful of the largest names come in. But I'd like to just clarify one thing. Digital assets has been available for institutions to trade in TradFi format. If you look at the CME, Bitcoin and ETH are very successful products, and those are TradFi rails. Finally, earlier this year, the U.S. launched Bitcoin ETFs.
Yeah.
That's a very important step because the U.S. is a very, very equity-centric market. And so taking Bitcoin and putting it into this acceptable, regulated equity format, was really the test. And it's been the most successful ETF of all time. And so the appetite is there. And as the infrastructure grows, you'll continue to see more and more adoption.
What trends do you see next year? Is it going to be something like waiting for the US to come up with clarity, regulation?
Yeah, I think regulation's always relevant. Here in continental Europe, you're starting. Well, in the UK, we have some, and those are getting more clarity. But in continental Europe, MiCA is coming online. That's a big deal because you can passport throughout the continent. In the US, there was always a dispute of whose purview digital assets in. Is it the SEC? Is it the CFTC? Is it a security or is it a commodity? Below that, there is MTLs and bit licenses at more of a state level. And so now with new President-elect, Mr. Donald Trump in charge, we'll have to see how that unfolds. But there certainly seems to be wind in the sails on the digital asset side. For us, again, this theme about being a non-bank prime broker and clearing firm. And so we saw demand in the TradFi part of our business to launch a fixed income business. That business is close to getting in production. I think we'll get it into production towards the end of the year and certainly in the start of 2025. And there's a lot of pent up demand for balance sheet from very large institutions. And so I think servicing them across this TradFi and digital asset ecosystems that have already converged is a really unique opportunity for us in the marketplace.
So we're right now we're waiting for some of Trump's decisions, maybe even on Gensler's.
I think that one will be clear, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly a year from now, you introduced Route 28.
Sure. So Route 28 is the naming people usually ask me. Hidden Road is where the founder of the firm was from. Route 28 is the street that ran parallel to that.
Yeah.
And so that's the meaning of it. Actually, what it is a multi-asset, multi-product platform where counterparties can onboard face Hidden Road and not have to put their margin and collateral in multiple different places with multiple different counterparties and benefit from cross-margin and margin financing. And so it's a journey that will continue to put these things on swap. And so we started to meet the demand in digital asset swaps, a regulated MiFID derivative. And now we've just started to expand that earlier this year in a beta phase with the equity index swaps, or more commonly the retail brokers refer to as CFDs. And so we'll start with equity index CFDs, and then you'll look at the commodity side, and then we'll add rolling spot as well. So roadmap in 2025 and pipeline should work out well.
Exciting. Lastly, you've been coming to this summit for several years now. How do you feel about it? How is it evolving?
It's honestly incredible. I mean, it's just the locations of them, the audience, the teams that are involved here, the innovation that's frankly coming from this space is truly mind-boggling, and something that I'm proud to have been part of this since the very early days with Michael Greenberg and all of you folks. And so I would say it's this particular one, given I'm based here in London, is one of the highlights of my year when it comes to these types of conferences. So thanks for having us.
Do you know that many UK brokers are now exiting to Dubai or other locations? What do you think about that? Is London in a danger of losing its
I mean, look, from this is the center of the world, right? The time is here. The regulators have been really strong. They're principle-based. Is it the most friendly tax environment? There's lots of motivation for firms to be global. And so, putting your flag in one location or another, again, there's a lot of motivations that drive those. I think the key is, if you have a multi-asset global business, you likely need registrations and regulations globally around the world. And so the Middle East is certainly an area that's been pretty vocal around, especially the digital asset side. And so many of our friends have been looking at it. We're looking at it early days, but we have a global footprint on the reg side.
Great. Thanks very much for this conversation.
Thanks so much for having us.